Exterminate, exterminate, terminate. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Dr. What? Today, we are going over the second part of the finale two-parter, The Parting of Ways.
It's actually The Parting of the Ways.
Oh, crap. God. Somebody take me out back and let me look into the time vortex right now.
I was going to say shoot them in the head, but yeah.
Yeah, same diff.
Well, no, because Jack is shooting Daleks.
True.
So shooting you in the head would be a relevant thing.
This is true. All right. Man, I enjoyed this episode a lot more than the first half of the two-parter, I won't lie. I mean, not that I didn't love the game shows, because you know I loved the game shows.
Of course.
But I enjoyed this second. I don't know about you. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to spoil it. But
yeah, we can go like more in depth with it, but I will say that I agree with you. It feels just like very tonally different. Like,
yeah.
It's just like total whiplash between the two of them.
Exactly. It was wow. All right. But for those of you who are unaware, I'll give a little synopsis. As the Daleks attack the game station, led by their Emperor, the Ninth Doctor finds himself helpless. He knows he must make big sacrifices if he is going to survive. But does this mean losing his beloved Rose Tyler forever? With Jack Harkness assembling an army together and the Doctor powerless against the Dalek Emperor, a deadly net closes around the whole universe. One thing is for certain, not everyone will make it out of this deadly battle alive. But who, or what, is Bad Wolf? It's time for the Doctor, and for Rose, to find out.
Oh my god, I'm like at the edge of my seat. That's an insane synopsis.
It is really good.
His beloved Rose.
Dude, they outdid themselves on tardis.fandom.com/wiki right here.
Oh my god.
His beloved Rose.
His beloved Rose, but also... Okay, we're gonna get into it. What about Jack Harkness?
His beloved Jack Harkness also.
I know. Okay, I'm gonna go into fun facts because I have one, I have a fun fact that is relevant to that. So, did you know that when Jack kissed the Doctor, that's the first same-sex kiss featured in the Doctor Who franchise?
Wow. It makes sense to me, but that's awesome.
Trendsetter.
Russell T. Davies putting one in for the gays, you know?
He really did. And then the other one, so the street corner at which the TARDIS reappears after being sent back to 2006 is the same street corner where Rose's father was originally struck by a car and killed in the opening of Father's Day prior to Rose altering the circumstances of his death.
I thought it looked familiar. I actually was going to ask you about that.
Yeah, I wonder if that was on purpose, because she has that whole moment where she's talking about her dad and like what he would have done. Like, I wonder if they were just trying to reuse the set, or if like it was on purpose, or a little bit of both.
I think it has to be intentional, especially with the direct reference to the Father's Day episode. I think it has to be intentional.
Yeah, I mean, my like unobservant ass like did not notice until I read that, but for eagle-eyed
what you noticed
like
every single instance of Bad Wolf, you're like, oh, Jeanette, like, did you catch it this time? And you didn't notice that the street corner from Father's Day was the same?
Okay, I need to be honest. I like Google beforehand, like where the Bad Wolf reference is, unless they like outright say it, like in the Unquiet Dead.
Sarah! I feel like this is like telling me that the Easter Bunny isn't real. What the hell?
Well, I mean, rest assured, the Easter Bunny is real.
Oh, okay, thank God. Thank God.
But I am a fraud.
Alas and alack. Alas and alack.
Yeah. I mean, I also have had, like, a long time to, like, collect them in the back of my mind, but if this was my first watch, like, I would not catch it unless they, like, threw it in my face.
This is very fair. This, I'll concede.
Okay. So, there's lots of tea surrounding the ending of this season or series, depending on whether or not you're in the UK, which some of you are, actually. Shout out to our new British listeners. 4% of our listener base on Spotify is from the UK.
Shout out, and we do not promise to stop making British people jokes, but we're glad you're here. We are so glad you're here.
Yes, welcome. We're gonna pour some tea for you. Is that racist?
You can't just ask if it's racist.
I mean, maybe they'll let us know in, like, the Q&A. Like, what did you think of the episode? And if you're British, you can, like, tell us whether or not that's racist.
That being said, this goes into another promoing segue. Those of you who are listening on the Spotify app on your phone, on your device, right this second, please feel free to make use of the Q&A section on the little screen. It's like it'll prompt you. What did you think of the episode? Do you have any questions? We would love to hear your comments, concerns, complaints, glowing reviews, declarations of love, anything like that. We would love to hear them because I'm the only one who has been using them so far. And I can tell that Sarah's getting a little annoyed by me just being like, this Lidine, or like whatever.
I don't know why when you said declarations of love, I thought you were going to say declarations of war.
Not declarations of independence, which for our British listeners.
Do you guys know what that is?
Okay, let's pour the tea for our British listeners and all of our listeners. Let's do a communal tea pouring right now.
Okay, yeah. So, as Doctor Who fans know, Christopher Eccleston leaves the show at the end of the series, and he was totally gone from the franchise until very recently, where he started doing audio dramas. But there was some beef between him and Russell T Davies, and it was kind of unclear, and he would just kind of drop hints in different interviews over the past decade, over the past 20 years basically, over what happened. And so I read an article on /film by Michael Boyle.
Michael Boyle.
Yeah, so Michael Boyle on /film wrote a whole article about it, dated 2023. So this is as recent as I could find. Actually, no, it's 2022. March 11th, 2022. So if anyone else has more recent tea, then please share in the Q&A section. But I wrote it all down in a notebook for you guys. So are you ready?
I am more ready than I think I'll ever be in my entire life.
Okay, so from what we can gather, he had plans not to return very early on. His regeneration was written into the script, and David Tennant had agreed to play the next Doctor, I think before series 1 was done airing. So this beef happened early on, and Christopher Eccleston, from what we can tell, was I'm gonna fulfill my contractual duties, I'm gonna finish this first season, and I'm gonna do the press tour, and then I'm done. So
damn.
Yeah. And from what he said, he, quote, blamed the culture on set, implying that there were harsh working conditions. He doesn't blame Russell T Davies specifically for that thing, from what I can gather, but he does blame the industry as a whole. There were just bad conditions that should not have been happening on set.
Tea.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
He also said, and this quote's crazy, "If someone wants me to kiss their ass, I bite it."
Whew.
So it seems Davies maybe was a bit of a tyrant on set.
Oh my god.
Yeah. He also
okay.
Yeah, he also went on to say that he didn't really get Davies' writing. He just didn't really feel like Davies understood the character, from my interpretation of the quotes that he said. He just didn't really understand the direction that he was taking it in.
Mm-hmm.
He says that his strength was writing Rose's character, that he seemed to have Rose's character all planned out, but when it came to writing about the Doctor and other things, he was just kind of all over the place, I guess.
You know what? That's kind of real though. I kind of agree with him.
Yeah, no, because I feel like a lot of my grievances with this season and with this episode specifically have to do with like the direction the show we'll go more into it when we go over our like best parts and worst parts, but yeah, like I can see that.
Yeah.
Okay, this is like the craziest part. He also says that when he left, they created a quote and attributed it to him, saying that he was tired and that's why he like stopped the show. But that wasn't true. Like, he didn't say that. And like just saying that like he was tired, Eccleston took a lot of offense to that because he was like, well, this is gonna affect my career, just saying that I got tired of the show and quit. Like, no one's gonna want to hire me.
Damn.
Yeah, so
Damn, they did him dirty.
yeah, so he says that he like respects like Billie Piper, like he loves Billie Piper, he loves Rose's character and everything, and he likes the franchise, which is why he's doing the audio dramas. But when it comes to like the BBC and I think Russell T Davies like specifically, he just like wants nothing to do with them. Like, he said 2022,
Wow.
like years, decades after it happened, like my relationship with them still hasn't healed.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And you know, I respect Christopher Eccleston like a lot. I think that he's a phenomenal actor. I think whatever grievances that he had with Russell T Davies writing, like he only pulled out good things from that character, and I cannot complain about his performance like at all.
Mm-hmm.
And also, he is the originator of the great quote, "A parasite in chief in her idiot hat," referring to the Queen of England. May she rest in piss. So, you know, I don't know anything else about him, but I respect him and his politics, and I can't help but be on his side for this. Like, I don't even need to hear the other side of the story. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like, if you're creating a false quote about someone, it just seems like so shady. Like, it's really slimy and gross.
Yeah.
So that's the tea.
I have perhaps a cube of sugar to add to the tea.
Ooh.
In that I've actually brought a fun fact of my own.
Ooh. I like jumped in my seat a little bit.
a little jump, a
Yep.
little Lord of leaping. So we were discussing in the last episode, I remember one of the fun facts that you brought up in the last episode was the fact that the Daleks theme, all of the vocalizations in them were in Hebrew. And I remember I was kind of like, what the hell? Like, why is it in Hebrew? So I went looking because I was curious as to what they were actually saying. But apparently, and this is via r/Doctor Who on Reddit from 7 years ago, thank you for your contribution, the words don't have any obvious or direct meaning. They're mainly just random Hebrew slang words there for effect. But one of the phrases does mean, hey man. One of them does mean ascend, or go up. And one of the other words is simply a Hebrew word for getting drunk or high or simply having a good time. So there you go.
So I think in like a previous episode, I think it may have been last episode, where I said that the translation was "what is happening," but that was from IMDb. I guess that's not real.
No, maybe that is like that
Because
part
that was,
is
like,
real.
The overlap, like that was like the phrase that I noticed overlapped.
Yeah.
But I don't know if like the IMDb person got it from Reddit, because do you have to like verify your facts before putting them on IMDb?
I don't know, actually. I feel like there's been a lot of garbage on IMDb lately, but I'm gonna get to the bottom of this. I'm gonna ask somebody who actually knows Hebrew. Also, if any of our listeners knows Hebrew,
Yes.
please,
In the Q&A.
please put in the Q&A what it means or what the hell is going on, because I would love to know.
As the Daleks often say.
And I can also ask around, as you very well know, I am a classicist, and I have some people in my phone book who know Hebrew, so I can give them a ring, phone a friend of the podcast, random classicists in my phone book, and we'll get that figured out for all you listeners at home.
Okay.
So what was your favorite part of the episode?
Oh my god. I loved when Rose became Bad Wolf. I think that like like, hands down, every time I watch it, it just, like, gets me, and I always find, like, new things to love about it.
Yeah.
The contrast between her, like, godlike power and her humanity is just, like, shining through in every scene. Like, there's, like, layers above her voice, just so she sounds godlike, but her voice is, like, cracking a little bit, and you can see, like, tears streaking down her face, and, like, her makeup's a little messed up, but she has this glow around her, and, like, she's like an all-powerful being, and the doctor is like, why have you done this? And then she turns to him and says so tenderly, like, I want you safe. And it's so, like...
She doesn't say doctor or the doctor. She says my doctor.
Yes! And that...
Which is just...
Yeah. No, I was just gonna say, like, it has, like, so much more, like, meaning than that, because you can, like, talk to, like, you know, your partner or whatever and say, like, my Jeannette. But... but, like, the fact that his name is, like, the doctor, right? Like, I feel like it takes on so much more meaning when she calls him, like, my doctor. Like, you are always saving me, and you're always helping me, and, like, now it's my turn to save you. And I think that that's so beautiful.
Yeah. Oh my god, yeah. So the notes that I wrote for this scene, I just want to say them. I did, holy fuck, period. My doctor, you are tiny, explodes. What if I threw up and died? In quick succession. And that's how I felt for most of the episode, exploding and throwing up and dying. Because, and you know, I was a little annoyed in the beginning of the episode because I felt that Rose was displaying such amazing character growth, and the doctor was just kind of like, you know, I'm diddling about. I'm doing what I've always been doing for this entire show, like being the same. But it hit a turnaround for me, and yeah, what a great scene. That whole Bad Wolf Rose scene was so good.
I need to know if, like, you knew that she was gonna become, like, the bad wolf. Like, what did you know about that going in?
I didn't have any idea at all.
Oh my god, that makes it so much better.
So when you first watched this show, did you, like, put the pieces together?
I honestly can't remember. Like, I don't know if I read any spoilers, because I read, like, big spoilers, like, later on. I always, like, do that. Like, I'm always, like, trying to find more information about, like, the media I enjoy, and then I just, like, spoil myself. It's, like, a problem.
Yeah.
So I can't remember if I knew what was gonna happen. I feel like I kind of did.
I had no idea. But it was beautiful. It was amazing. The entirety of the show, Rose was leaving hints for herself to keep the doctor safe. That was just amazing. Like, every single time the doctor saved her, she retroactively was placing reminders leading up to the point in which she was going to save him.
Yeah. Something that I really love about it, too, is just the fact that the teenage girl is the hero in the end.
Yeah.
Like, she becomes this, like, all-powerful god. And, like, up until this point, the doctor's the powerful one. But we see Rose become more empowered throughout the series, and we see the doctor, in turn, become more vulnerable, so that by the time this finale comes, their positions are able to switch. And, yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah. It's amazing. Like, the power that lies within one teenage girl who cares so much is just... I wish that I had seen it when I was younger, you know? Like, I wish that... I don't know. It would have done me some good to see a character like Rose, I think, who is so unabashedly a girl.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Just go out and not sacrifice any of what makes her, like a teenage girl, and still be the savior of the people that she loves and of humanity. Like, as you said, the humanity with the godhood, you can see her makeup running, and she's wearing her hoodie, and she's got her earrings in, and it's amazing. And I loved also at the end of that scene when the doctor is like, you see it too. This is what I see all the time. Yes. You see it too. It was just like a great equalizing moment for the two of them. And it was really, really great.
Yeah. Yeah, like I did watch it when I was younger. I watched it when I was like a 13, like 14-year-old. And yeah, I think what struck me then, I think now I'm able to see more about like the power and like having like a vulnerable like teenage girl who cares be the hero. But then I think I was like really struck by the love between the two of them. And I still am now for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, just also the fact that like she's doing this to save the man that she loves, you know, and there's no
Mm-hmm.
like shame in that. They're not like, oh, she's frivolous for loving him. She just loves him, and she's just like allowed to love him deeply and to want to save him. And you never really see a girl in that like position in media. Like it's always the other way around. And yeah, I just really love that. Like I am a big fan of like, you know, especially when they're portraying like a heterosexual dynamic, for the girl to be the one who's like deeply in love, because I don't really, yeah, they don't let girls be like in love and be the active ones.
Yeah, and when they are in love, you know, they're played off as being immature, naive, gullible, whatever. And I really like that you brought that up, because that is what it is at its core. You can write it off as it being like, oh, you know, she's saving him because she loves him, yes, but also because she loves, you know, humanity, whatever. She knows that it's better that he's in the world because he's gonna go out and save people and whatever. You could even argue that the scene in the chip shop with Mickey and Jackie, where Rose is like, it because it was better, and Mickey says something like, oh, because you're better than the rest of us, is that it? And she goes, no, it's because he made me better. He showed me how to live life, right? You could even argue that that's why she saved him. But I love that inextricably at its core, it's because she loved him. You
Yeah.
know, like I just that's
And
great.
you know, I would even say that when she says like he taught me like a better way of life, like he showed me a different way to live. Like I feel like just like love just does that to you. Love in all forms does that to you. Like people change each other, and like that's
Yeah.
just it. And you know, as we've been saying, like, you know, in the first couple episodes, you know, we've talked about like the ick and everything. And you know, I think, yeah, it seems like so silly now, but in the first couple episodes you can see like, you know, why. But
Yeah, there's a tension there. There's definitely a
yeah,
tension there.
but you know, as they go on, it just like, I don't know.
It transcends that. It transcends the kind of superficial. Not that if it were anything else, I would not call it superficial, because there is a serious problem in media, like where you have a dynamic like that, and it's not played the way that Rose and the Doctor are. It's played, you know, I don't know the word that I'm looking for, but this is different. I'm so, not to be like they're not like other girls, but like it's really true. Like this is different.
Yeah, well, because I feel like in other pieces of media, like they'll just like cast a guy that's 40, and then they'll cast an actress that's like 20, and like that's just the way it is. Like they won't cast an actress that's closer in age to him because they don't like having older women on screen, and they don't really acknowledge it.
Yeah.
But like these two characters like fundamentally like change each other at their core. I don't know, like it just, yeah, it's just different. It's not the same. But there was another thing that I wanted to say that's just kind of like about life in general, I suppose.
Yeah.
Because I feel like nowadays you kind of see on social media, especially, a lot of people like coming up with like terms and stuff in order to like navigate dating better and navigate like romance better.
Sure.
It's like, oh, like here are red flags, here are my icks, like, and he ghosted you and you can't double text, and like just like all of this shit. But like, how are you gonna like categorize human affection? Like like connection and love like transcends all of that. Like you're not gonna be able to like be happy if you're just like so fixated on all of this shit that ultimately doesn't matter. Not to say that you should just like ignore someone's red flags, but when you're focusing on all these terms and stuff, it's just, you're not gonna be happy.
But Sarah, what will the masses do without their labels?
I don't know. I'll be happy. Like, I don't know. Maybe I've been like so deep into, because I hate watch like a lot of like alt-right YouTubers. Like they make me
Sarah.
mad. But I like yell like into nothing when I watch them, and they're all these red pillars are talking about like, oh, like you have to be a high value man looking for blah blah blah. Like how do you expect to ever connect with another human being and experience love? Like
No, but you don't understand. Like, you gotta be an alpha, sigma, beta, gamma, epsilon, and you gotta, like, do your pickup artistry, and you gotta take your girl to a triumph and lie to her about who's parading in the parade. That's what you gotta do, obviously.
the classicist spin.
I can't not talk about, like, alpha males and pickup artistry without also talking about Ovid. Like, I can't do it. Shout out to Penny Evans, friend of the podcast, to Dr. Penny Evans, who is definitely not listening right now. But I digress. No, but you're real for that. And I have to wonder if it's always been like this, you know? And we're just coming into an age where we just see all this shit and we can recognize that it's bullshit. But I wonder if back in, like, 1802, there were these kinds of, what everybody categorized. It was like, oh, well, if in his letter he writes with not a large enough indentation at the beginning of the paragraph, then it's like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I totally know what you mean. I think that it definitely has always existed in some shape or form. Like, there's been, like, Victorian dating guides, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I think that the internet just makes it able to, like, spread to a much larger and to a much younger audience, so that it's just, like, kind of everywhere you look, versus, like, if you weren't of the age of courtship and you weren't specifically looking for it in, like, the 19th century, then you wouldn't really, like, be enmeshed in it. Like, you're not falling down a rabbit hole fed to you by an algorithm.
Very true.
But yeah, the Doctor and Rose aren't like that. I'm not as good at segues.
That's okay. I was wondering how we were gonna, like, transition out of that, and I think you being like, I'm not good at segues is good enough. But yeah, I can't say that I disagree with you for the best part, or for the favorite part. The Rose and Doctor scene, I mean, just blew everything else out of the water. I do want to highlight something that is not my best part, but something that I really, really did like, was just Mickey and Jackie, especially Jackie, in this episode. Just when Rose is talking to her about how, like, bringing up the Father's Day conversation, and Jackie, like, can't really handle it and she leaves, but she leaves and she comes back with the giant fucking truck.
Yeah.
And is like, okay, we have it until 6. Like, this is something your father would have done. I just felt so much love and appreciation for the character of Jackie Tyler in that moment. And it made me also think of how Rose said, he taught me how to live a better life. And it's just crazy because I think Rose taught everyone around her how to live a better life too. And that is just something that really touched my soul. I was just like, man, there were always people waiting for her at home, and there were always people, like, willing to live a better life for her, which is just, like, really touching. I really loved that.
Yeah, that was really touching. Jack, like, sat down to watch it with me for a little bit, and every time Mickey was on screen, he was like, this fucking cuck, man.
Jack was literally me the first time that I saw Mickey, like, in the first episode.
Yeah. But, like, I agree with you. That scene where they're all, like, at the chip shop talking, I don't know, I feel like you can see on their faces, like, they're just kind of, like, trying to, like, have this casual conversation, especially Mickey. Like, you can see how he feels kind of uneasy with it because he knows that something's wrong, but it's just, like, easier to default to what you, like, already know. But yeah, Rose teaches them to live a better life. Like, she's a positive influence on the people around her. And when Rose just, like, refuses to fall back into that, it makes them think about their own behavior. And ultimately, like, they help her because they know that that's the right thing to do. Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah. Wow. But what wasn't amazing in the episode? What was your least favorite part?
Well, okay, I have a least favorite, but I also have another little favorite, like, on the same level as you.
Oh, you. Say it.
I love to yap.
The yapper. Oh my god, today in class, my classmates were yapping, and my friend Joseph, friend of the podcast Joseph Alexander, he, like, holds up his paper at me and scrawled across the top just said, "the yapper" on it. But anyway, that's why we started a podcast, Sarah. It's because we like to yap.
Yeah. I loved Jack Harkness.
Oh, do you? Say more.
I also love my partner, Jack, but I love Jack Harkness as well.
Coincidental, isn't it, that they have the same name? No, I'm joking.
I mean, never mind. Yeah, I love how he just, like, is a badass and is hot and exists on screen and is, like, kissing men and women, and he's never treated any differently. Like, Rose, like, has a little smile, like, after, like, he kisses her, like, "Oh, you," but, like after the initial shock of her, like, realizing that he's bisexual, and the doctor is like, "It's the future, like, that's just how it is." It's just kind of like, okay, yeah, that's just how it is. And he's never treated as, like, any less manly for, like, being into men. Like, he is super, like, macho in this episode. Like, his muscles are out and he's fucking shooting at Daleks. And it's like, when he dies heroically.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, I figured that. And then Rose brings him back to life, you know? Like, it's not like a bury your gaze kind of thing, because Rose is like, no, like, I love him and I want him to be alive. And it's just, like, in 2005... like, that's amazing.
Yeah, it was kind of major. Like, actually kind of huge.
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe this is just because it's 2024, and obviously in 2005 I was 4. But was there commotion about it when it aired? Like, did people understand? Like, did people talk about how awesome that was? You know what I mean?
I don't know. If, like, we actually have a kind of, like, older listener base. Most of them are in between, like, 23 and 27, but we have, like, a good amount of, like, middle-aged people. So if any of you guys know, please let us know. A good amount. It's, like, my mom and, like, her boyfriend and, like, your aunt.
Actually, my aunt doesn't listen because she's hard of hearing, but
we need to find closed captions.
Yes, this is a promise. One day we will have transcripts for our episodes. We'll probably have to go on, like, a month-long break while I sit down and I type out all the transcriptions. But, you know, friend of the podcast, accessibility.
Yeah, it seems like he was really popular. It says on the Wikipedia, the popularity of the character amongst multiple audiences directly influenced the development of the spin-off series Torchwood. He's, like, the main character in that series. I'm not sure if you were aware.
Mm-hmm.
The character became a figure of the British public consciousness, rapidly gaining fame for actor Barrowman.
Okay.
As an ongoing depiction of bisexuality in mainstream British television, the character became a role model for young gay and bisexual people in the UK.
Wow, that's lovely.
Yeah, it says, The Times described the undeniable success of the character as having propelled actor John Barrowman to national treasure status.
He is a national treasure.
He was nominated for Best Actor at the 2007 BAFTA CYMRU Awards. I don't know, it's CYMRU. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. But yeah, that's like 2007 he was nominated. Like, it seems like most people were just, like, really into him. Like, he was just, like, a hot, swashbuckling character that just, like...
happened to be omnisexual.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Wow. The more you know.
There were also some, like, parodies of the character at the time. But I don't know if, like... it doesn't seem like they were trying to be homophobic or anything. Like, it was just kind of like, oh, like, that's the guy. Like, he's, like, the flirty hot one. In the media, he's described as a hunky bisexual.
Wow.
Yeah?
Well, who doesn't love a hunky bisexual?
I, for one.
But what don't you love
about
What
hunky
was your
bisexuals.
what was your least favorite part of the episode?
um okay, okay, listen, interesting things were happening with the Daleks here. It's cool that they were like part human, and they were like a little creepy and more disturbing than I guess Daleks normally are. But it was just so random to me that like the Daleks were just kind of like thrown in last minute. Like, harkening back to what we were talking about earlier with like Russell T Davies having a really clear idea of what to do with Rose's character, and Christopher Eccleston's like grievances with his writing for the rest of the series, it just kind of didn't really feel like a wrap up to me. Like, it seemed like a good finale for the characters, but when it came to the story, other than the bad wolf stuff, like nothing is really leading up to like the reveal of the Daleks surviving, you know? Like, it's just like, it's so out of nowhere, and I don't really think it adds much. So yeah, that was my thing.
Yeah, I agree. And if this was going to be the big finale thing, I feel like it could have been foreshadowed more in the long game, right? That's the...
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, could have been foreshadowed more in the long game. And, you know, our previous criticisms, I should say, with them bringing back the Slitheen. Like, I don't understand why. I think they shouldn't have done two bringbacks. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, if you're gonna bring back one alien, why bring back another?
Yeah, especially when, like, the whole episode Dalek revolves around the fact that that's, like, the last Dalek left. And now there's a whole army. Like, I get that, like, you know, they're made out of humans, but like the whole emperor of the Daleks just like kind of survives just cuz like it just doesn't make any sense. It kind of like undoes the whole Dalek episode, which is pretty good. So it just kind of feels like a disservice to that.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, where I think that Boomtown actually made the Slitheen and their episode, like their previous episodes, better, this two-parter did not make Dalek better at all, because Dalek was a great episode, and it certainly didn't really make the long game that much better either. And I understand why they felt like they had to bring the Daleks back, because the Daleks are like a staple. I thought it was crazy when they killed them off, but I respected the move, because the Daleks are Doctor Who, right? Like, yeah, they're as Doctor Who as the TARDIS. What are you going to do without them? But I would have respected them a lot more if they had just decided to kill them completely, or if we, I guess, didn't have the Dalek episode. But like, I don't know. The Dalek episode was just so good. It was definitely a highlight of the season for me. So I don't know what the solution could have been. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like you can't have your cake and eat it too. Like, you can't have a good episode about like the last of the Daleks and then bring back the Daleks also. Like, either don't have an episode that, like, its whole point is talking about how the Doctor and that Dalek are like the last of their species,
when it's not fucking true.
Yeah, like, it's so weird. Like, it takes away that emotional weight, and you gotta choose one or the other. And
it's really true.
Yeah, and like you said, like, I would have preferred that they just honestly kill them off altogether than just do whatever this shit is. I mean, I know why they did it, but I don't know, like, maybe bring them back at a later date. Like, I'm talking about 2 seasons in the future or something, where it's like connected to Dalek in some way, versus whatever this was. Like, it just feels weird.
It's almost like they could have... I don't think they could have made the Dalek episode with Tennant's Doctor. Not that I know much about Tennant's Doctor yet, but I don't think they could have made that episode with him. But I think that the episode Dalek they could have made later, and they could have had the Daleks coming back. Like, no mention of the Daleks until the finale. I think that would have been the ideal. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
shouldn't have had 2 episodes about them.
No, yeah, honestly, what you're saying, that makes a lot more sense. That would have been a lot more impactful to not have any Daleks, and then in like the finale of the first season of the reboot to have like the last Dalek just kind of like pop up.
Right? And then it would make more sense if later on you had the Dalek episode come a little bit later, because it makes more sense that one of them would have escaped from whatever happened at the end of this episode than just having them show up out of the blue. One of them escaped, like, randomly. You know what I mean? It just doesn't follow. The chronology is off, like, which I guess it is a time travel show. But just because, you know, we can act anachronistically doesn't mean that there shouldn't be some kind of timeline, something that we should be following, that it makes sense for viewers to be watching.
Yeah, a lot of people say that like Doctor Who has no canon and yet everything is canon, and we're already starting to see that. Like there's just like so much random shit that happens that you can kind of just like pick and choose what you believe. Like the Emperor of the Daleks, like the Emperor of the Daleks. That's insane. He is the Emperor, and he just kind of survived, I guess. Like his whole thing, he just explains it like, yeah, all the Daleks died, but like I didn't. Like that's essentially what he said. Like,
well, that's where they got inspiration for the Star Wars reboot with Palpatine coming back.
Oh my god.
Obviously they just looked to Doctor Who.
Oh my god. Guys, listeners, Jeanette and I watched we actually watched every single Star Wars reboot movie together. It was like our
Yes,
thing.
we did.
And we watched the Return of Skywalker, was it?
Yeah, I think so. The Rise of Skywalker. The Rise
of Skywalker. Yeah, I'm meshing Return of the Jedi with, yeah, it's Rise of Skywalker, you're right.
Yeah, we saw that, and then we left the theater and we went and we caught the last 5 minutes of Cats.
Yeah. Like, I remember when, like, they thought that, like, Chewie died, and Rey is just, like, screaming, Chewie! And Jeanette and I were laughing in, like, this quiet theater. It was, like, it was so bad. Like, that movie was
that movie made me so upset. Like, that was the worst I have ever felt as a fan of something. You know what I mean? Like, I had put my faith in this reboot, like, Force Awakens, you know, like, the potential was there, and then it just went so downhill. But yeah, I mean, they obviously took some pointers from Russell T Davies and the parting of the ways.
I feel like, though, you know, the good thing about Doctor Who is that regardless of what crazy shit happens, another guy is gonna come in and, like, just kind of undo it. And be like, actually, because of this time travel thing that wasn't explained before, but is a thing now, that didn't happen. So everything's fine now. And that just, like, continuously happens for 10 years, for the next 10 years of this show. So buckle in, I guess.
The show of net zero information.
Yeah. Like, there's always a rule, and then, like, an exception to the rule is made because the writers just, like, got tired of the rule. Yeah, in cases like these, it's really annoying, but it's funny.
But we still love it, and we still are making a podcast for it, and we're still gonna sit our asses down, and we're gonna watch those episodes, and we're gonna pump them out because it's still great.
Yes.
So, well, that's all I had.
Yeah. I don't think I've got anything else. Well, I always have one more thing to say.
And one more thing. You're like Columbo.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Columbo?
Yeah, I actually don't know what you mean.
Oh, Peter Falk, he's a detective. He always goes, and one more thing. It's the grandfather from The Princess Bride. It's the same actor. He was in... Well, anyway.
I'm so sorry. I forget the grandfather. I've seen The Princess Bride. My knowledge is just, like, extended to really niche things. I just
as if mine isn't.
No, yours like definitely is. I just feel like you have a broader knowledge of like older like movies and content. Like you just...
This is fair.
Yeah.
I can't expect If I had mentioned something like super obscure about the manga artist for Attack on Titan, then you would have known it. But I can't expect you to know Peter Falk and Philip.
Hajime Isayama.
Oh, God.
Are you gonna read the Levi prequel that's coming out on April 30th, Jeanette?
No, of course I'm not gonna read the Levi prequel, but I know you'll tell me about it, so I don't have to read it.
Yeah.
Oh, man. All right, what's your one thing?
Oh, I just thought that, like, the little, like, Dalek squid in the Emperor looks cool. Like, I wanted to give a quick shout out to the practical effects people.
Yes, the effects for this episode were really, really well done. I thought they were quite tasteful. I liked, when they exploded the first Dalek and the little thing was inside, and then the Emperor looked really good. I really liked the effect of the time vortex, like with Rose. I thought that was pretty tastefully done, and the regeneration looked really good. I also really loved, this is somewhat tied into the practical effects, and I wish they had actually done this more, tied in the set of the game station into this episode, because the two felt pretty disconnected as a two-parter. It felt like a continuation, but set-wise, it didn't really seem that way. But something that I really liked is that they brought back the weakest link robot, and it, like, was attacking the Daleks. I thought that was really good that they reused it, and I feel like they could have done more with having the fight scenes go through, like, the Big Brother set shows. Or but that's like a small nitpick, so yeah
no, I think that would have been really fun. I think that, like, the robots with the tits should have, like, battled Daleks for a little bit.
Yeah, I agree. Exterminate.
All right, I think
terminate tit. Doctor, what?
Wait. You guys should follow our social media. I consistently forget to say this. Instagram at doctor.what.podcast. And then on Tumblr, it's at Dr. What Podcast. Yeah.
Follow it or die.